Kane Ashby stood alone in the dimly lit office, staring at the skyline of Genoa City as if it might offer answers. It didn't, it never did. The lights of Newman Enterprises glowed in the distance, mocking him. Somewhere in this twisted chess game, Victor Newman believed he had already won. Kane's jaw tightened. Victor had Lilies, he had Matty and Charlie, and that was the only thing that mattered. Earlier that day, Kane had looked Phyllis Summers straight in the eye and suggested something that felt like pure insanity. "Help me make Victor think he's won," he had said. Phyllis had blinked slowly, calculating. She always calculated. And while he's busy celebrating, you swoop in and grab Lily and the twins. Exactly. But I stay in control of Newman Enterprises, she had insisted, the entire time. Kane had nodded. He didn't care about corporate dominance, he cared about his family breathing free air again. But once Phyllis left, the doubt crept in. Victor Newman was not a man you double-cross casually. He was a man who anticipated betrayal before it was even conceived. Kane paced. If this plan failed, if Victor sensed deception, Lily and the twins would pay the price. Victor had already proven he was willing to go to extreme lengths. What would stop him from escalating? Nothing. Which was why Kane had made another call. Amanda Sinclair. She answered on the third ring, her voice calm and composed. "Tell me you have something better than walking straight into Victor's trap." "I might," Kane replied quietly. Amanda had been working behind the scenes for him, legal maneuvering, contingencies, layers within layers. She understood contracts the way Victor understood power. "Phyllis is interested," Kane continued. "She wants control. She wants to believe she's manipulating Victor." Amanda was silent for a moment, then softly, "And you want to let her believe that?" "Yes." "You do realize," Amanda said carefully, "that if this goes wrong, there won't be a legal loophole big enough to protect anyone." "I know." He hated that he sounded desperate, but he was desperate. Amanda had sighed. "I've been drafting something. If Phyllis signs it believing it's temporary restructuring documentation, she won't question it." And it won't be temporary." Kane stopped packing. "It will transfer controlling interest back to Victor," Amanda continued. "Cleanly, legally, no room for interpretation." Kane swallowed. "So Phyllis thinks she's trapping Victor," Amanda said, "when she's actually signing everything back to him." "Yes." "And you believe Victor won't know?" Kane hesitated. That was the terrifying part. Victor had been hinting lately, subtle comments, references to insurance, to other steps taken. He looked almost amused when discussing Kane's loyalty. What if this entire idea had been Victor's from the start? What if Victor had nudged him toward this exact move? Kane's mind raced. Victor could have suggested allowing Phyllis to think she had the upper hand, let her feel brilliant, let her feel invincible. Then crush her. Amanda broke the silence. "Kane, is this your plan or Victor?" "I don't know anymore." Across town, Phyllis poured herself a glass of wine and stared at her reflection in the window. Kane thought he was clever. Victor thought he was untouchable. They both underestimated her. She wasn't some pawn to be shuffled across a board. She had clawed her way to power more times than anyone could count. Helping Kane fake Victor's victory had potential. Victor would believe he'd regained control, his guard would drop, Lily and the twins would be released, and Phyllis would remain the true power behind Newman Enterprises. It was elegant. Too elegant. She picked up her phone and scrolled to Amanda's name. They were friends, or at least friendly enough. If legal paperwork was involved, Amanda would know whether Kane was hiding something. She typed a message but didn't send it. Instead, she smiled slowly. No better to meet face to face. The next afternoon, Phyllis sat across from Amanda at Society, watching her closely. "You've been busy," Phyllis said lightly. Amanda raised a brow. "That's not exactly news." Kane's been talking. Amanda's expression didn't shift. Impressive. About, Amanda asked. Victor, a plan, some paperwork. Amanda took a slow sip of her drink. If Kane is planning something involving Victor, that's between them. Phyllis leaned forward. Unless, she said softly, you're in the middle of it. Amanda met her gaze, calm, unreadable. I represent my client's best interests. And what would those be? Phyllis pressed. Survival. The word lingered between them. Phyllis studied her carefully. Amanda wasn't flinching. That either meant total innocence or total control. Back at Newman Enterprises, Victor stood by his desk, hands clasped behind his back. He wasn't a man who feared betrayal. He anticipated it, encouraged it, allowed others to believe they were bold enough to try. Kane Ashby thought he was clever. Phyllis Summers thought she was indispensable. Victor smiled faintly. He had indeed taken other steps. He had made it clear to Kane what would happen if loyalty faltered. He had also made it clear that cooperation would be rewarded. Let them dance. Let them believe they were leading. When the time came, he would close his hand. And they would realize they had never left his grip. Meanwhile, Kane sat alone again, staring at the draft documents Amanda had sent. They were flawless. If Phyllis signed them under the guise of temporary strategy, ownership would revert to Victor seamlessly. Lily and the twins would be released. But what then? Victor would owe him. Or Victor would destroy him. Kane closed his eyes. He imagined Lily's face, the twins' laughter. He would do whatever it took. Even if it meant sacrificing Phyllis. Even if it meant sacrificing himself. He picked up his phone and called her. It's time, he said. Phyllis arrived at Kane's office with confidence radiating off her like perfume. She took the seat opposite him without waiting to be invited. Let's make history, she said. Kane forced a steady breath. Amanda's drafted the restructuring documents. They're airtight. Temporary, Phyllis asked. Yes, Kane replied. It wasn't a lie. Not technically. Temporary for her. Amanda entered moments later, folder in hand. She looked professional, composed, almost sympathetic. Phyllis scanned the pages quickly. She trusted her instincts. The language seemed strategic, complex, layered enough to mislead Victor. Exactly what she wanted. You're sure this protects me? Phyllis asked. Amanda held her gaze. It protects the plans. Phyllis smirked. Good enough. As she signed. The pen glided across paper with quiet finality. Kane felt something twist inside him. Amanda gathered the documents carefully. It's done, she said. Across town, Victor received the call. It's executed, Amanda informed him coolly. Victor allowed himself a small nod. Very good. Lily and the twins were released within hours. Kane's heart nearly stopped when he saw them step out, unharmed but shaken. He pulled Lily into his arms, holding her tighter than he ever had. It's over, he whispered. But was it? The next morning, Phyllis stormed into Newman Enterprises, ready to assume her invisible throne. Only to find Victor seated comfortably behind his desk. Good morning, Phyllis, he said smoothly. Her stomach dropped. You're not supposed to be here, she snapped. Victor steepled his fingers. On the contrary, I am exactly where I belonged. Amanda entered quietly behind her. Phyllis turned slowly. What did you do? Amanda's expression was measured. You signed a full transfer of controlling interest. That's impossible. Victor slid a copy of the document across the desk. It is quite possible. Phyllis scanned the pages, color draining from her face. Every clause, every paragraph, legitimate. I trusted you, she whispered to Amanda. Amanda's voice softened but didn't break. You trusted what you wanted to believe. Phyllis looked at Kane, who had stepped into the room silently. You let this happen. Kane met her eyes, guilt flickering but resolve stronger. I did what I had to. For Lily, Victor added calmly. Phyllis laughed bitterly. You think he won't come after you next? Victor rose slowly. I reward loyalty. Kane swallowed. For now. Phyllis realized in that moment that she had been outplayed at every level. She had believed she was the architect of Victor's humiliation. Instead, she had been the final signature he needed. Victor stepped closer. You are talented, Phyllis, he said almost kindly, but you let your ego cloud your judgment. She straightened, fury returning. This isn't over. Victor smiled faintly. It never is. Kane stood beside Lily later that evening, watching the twins settle back into their home. Was it worth it? Lily asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately. Yes, he said finally. Because they were safe. Because that was all that mattered. But deep down he knew something else. Victor Newman never simply reclaimed power. He consolidated it. And Kane had just proven he was willing to cross lines. That made him useful. It also made him dangerous. As for Phyllis, she stood alone in the dark of her hotel suite, staring at the city lights. She had lost Newman Enterprises. But she had not lost herself. And if Victor believed this was the end of her, he didn't know her at all. The war for power in Genoa City didn't end with a signature. It only shifted. And somewhere in the shadows, Victor Newman watched the board reset, satisfied. For now,